Yeah, it's late again, past 10 p.m. It's the only time I feel so lonely. Falling in love. It means a million different things to a million different people. And the same goes for how romance anime portray falling in love. Sometimes it's about physical attraction, sometimes emotional support, friendship that becomes deeper, enemies to lovers, you name it, it's happened. Love means something different to everyone, and that's what allows romantic stories to stay fresh, no matter how many get made. I went into Call of the Night with basically no expectations. What I found was a show with some of the most stunning visuals I've seen, and deeper reflections on love, connection, and loneliness. Now, I do wish that our protagonist was older than a middle schooler, and the show is really obsessed with over-sexualizing its female characters, and I don't want to make excuses for that. But if you can look past these things, and no shade if not, there's a unique story about falling in love and what it means to be human. That first point, falling in love, is where Call of the Night really digs its teeth in, pun intended. One of the core mechanics of the world is that in order to become a vampire, you must fall in love with the vampire that sucks your blood. In addition, you must fall in love in at least 1 year from first having your blood taken, or you get locked out, as it were. This is fascinating because it gives a measuring stick to determine love. Falling in love may be the most individual thing in the world, but that gets undermined in this story. If everyone can use the same metric to determine love, what does that say about love itself, and the stories of romance that populate this anime? Let's talk about it. So first, I want to talk about love as it pertains to the vampires outside of our main pairing. The power dynamics surrounding the vampires and their offspring are very interesting. There's a pervasive sense of dominance and subservience, even though they're both technically vampires. Sometimes it's more obvious, like Hatsuka and his sycophantic helpers. But even with cases like Akun and Seri, or LG and Midori, the offspring are very much attached to those who turn them. There's this pervasive idea that love is inherently humiliating, a prostrating of someone to the one that they love. The vampires prey on humans, stealing their hearts for their own selfish purposes. Adding to this is the idea that the powers of vampirism are a gift to the humans that receive them, indebting them to the vampire that they fell in love with. It's sort of an exchange, love for being a vampire. The implicit addition to this idea is that vampires themselves do not fall in love. Love is a tool for making vampires, a human flaw. But this is clearly disproven over and over again in the show. Seri cares for and has a relationship with Akun. Midori is clearly very fond of LG, and Kabura is looking over Nazuna in many ways due to the love that she had for her mother. Instead of vampires being unable to love, it's more that they seem embarrassed by love. And of course, why wouldn't they be? If it's a human folly, meant to create servants for you, what does it say about you to feel that yourself? Love is weakness to the vampires, even literally. The items from their human days are the things that allow them to be killed. Love can be their demise, so they push it away fervently. But the second season of the anime peels this back, revealing at its climax that while they talk a big game, the vampires are softer than they appear, not wishing to harm humans nearly as much as they say. So where we end up landing with them is somewhere in the middle. There's clearly a power structure within their ranks, with the offspring below those that turn them. But the bonds between them go both ways, with love being as much of an interest for the vampires as it is for the humans that fall in love with them. This implies that despite love being tied to a physical change, it transcends that physical bounding box. What love is more important than what love does. Nazuna and Ko's romance is the central thread of Call of the Night. Nazuna provides Ko the night, the escape from the normal life that he grew disillusioned with. In many ways, this is a coming-of-age story, with Ko growing up and learning what love is, and Nazuna being his guide into the new world. The power dynamic I mentioned earlier is in full effect at times, with Nazuna sweeping Ko off of his feet and dragging him where she pleases. She also incites most of the romantic moments, especially early on. But this presentation of their relationship is flawed in a few ways. First of all, Nazuna has the unique trait of being born a vampire. This means that she herself has never fallen in love, and she is extremely embarrassed and awkward around it. In this sense, she and Ko are discovering what love is together, and she doesn't carry the same aspersions towards love that the other vampires do. Instead of viewing it as something humiliating, she aspires at the end of season 1 to be someone that Ko can love. This is a sharp break from the other vampires, who can view love as a game, or something that they deserve inherently. Love to Nazuna and Ko is more akin to the deeper feelings that we usually ascribe to it, distanced from the whole vampirism formula. But there's one aspect of this that drags their romance fully back into the mix. Ko has known Nazuna for a while, and she drinks his blood plenty, but he's not a vampire. What gives? Well, apparently there are people who can't fall in love. What does that mean? It's unclear. But Anko fell into this category, and apparently Ko does as well, at least for now. This is one of the most interesting angles the show takes, because it tangibly poses the question of what it means to fall in love, with a clear metric of success. We are watching Ko get to know Nazuna better, come to rely on her, and even the beginnings of physical attraction, and yet none of these are enough to cross the threshold into love. And with Anko, it's like she has a different checklist of ways she's in love with Nazuna. Clearly attracted to her, relied deeply on her, and opened her heart to her. Yet, no vampire. What makes Anko's story so affecting is the weight that this places on her, suffocating her. Everyone has had things not work out with someone that they like, but this feels much more final. You cannot love, the universe feels like it's saying. So in lieu of falling into that abyss, she channels these feelings into revenge against the vampires, for her father, for her family, and for herself. However, at the end of season 2, we get a little movement on this issue. Ko recovers from his gunshot wound surprisingly quickly, and Anko surmises that it is because he briefly came to love Nazuna, and therefore turned into a vampire briefly as well, I think. If we can look under the hood for a second, there are some interesting storytelling tricks being played here. Making falling in love correlate to a physical change is clever because it allows the show to define exactly what love means to it, and give it a big dramatic reaction when that threshold is reached. But sneakily, this is also kind of like a lot of the more traditional romance anime. In those shows, characters let their feelings slowly build until their love culminates in a confession. This is the same thing with a coat of vampirism paint on it. Ko's feelings will grow until his own type of confession when he becomes a vampire. It's clever, making things different without losing the core language of the genre. Call of the Night is all about what it means to love, and the implications of falling in love. In many ways, the vampires are just a way to give physical form to all of the intricacies of love. Love can be manipulative, confusing, breathtaking, distressing, anything you can imagine. But at its core, it's about the connection that one person has with another, and that isn't lost here. To love for the sake of being loved is human, but to love for the sake of loving is angelic, is a quote from Alphonse de Lamartine. In Call of the Night, it's the humans that love for the sake of loving, if anything, and the vampires that tend to engage with love to get others to love them. It's funny, that inversion. Maybe the power dynamic should be going the other way. Yeah, it's late again, past 10 p.m. It's the only time I feel so lonely. Yeah, you're haunting me, but I've only got one question. Can I be your one possession? It's a late night seance. Static TV channels are the ones I stay on, searching for a glimpse of you. We've got a good thing going, my objects you throw in, and I hope that I'm your type, cause you always spend the night. I've gotta know how this hold on my soul makes me love you, makes me want you. I want so much, but the feel of your touch makes me hazy, drives me crazy. I've got Ouija boards spread across my room just to try and talk with you. I've got countless candles just to reach the other side and spend some time with you. I've got chills down my spine just when I'm thinking of calling you mine. Vice grip on my mind, never knew spirits could be so kind. Yeah, it's late again, past 10 p.m. It's the only time I feel so lonely. Yeah, you're haunting me, but I've only got one question. Can I be your one possession? Yeah, I'm opening up, I hope I'm enough. I wanna be yours when push comes to shove. So would you be mine, like all of the time? And I've only got one question. Can I be your one possession? And that ends this week's episode of Love and Anime. I hope you enjoyed the episode and the new AMV. That one was also done by Somber. I encourage you to check out his stuff. Just a heads up for you, I am out of town basically every weekend in October. My plan is to not let Love and Anime drop at all, but I'm not sure if I can keep getting split screen at the door this month, because I tend to do that on the weekend. If that's the case, I'll let you know in community posts, and they will resume once my crazy month is over. I appreciate your understanding. As always, liking and subscribing helps a ton and will keep you on the loop moving forward, as does hitting that hype button on the mobile app. I'd really appreciate it. I'm SlamAnime, and I'll catch you next time.